Hello everyone. So I went out today and used a friend's paint booth to paint my Batman and Robin Batmobile. And on my way home, I stopped and came home with another Batmobile. As you can see, this is the Batmobile from the Tim Burton movies. Batman 1989 and Batman Returns from 1992. This one actually has all of the parts from the second release that was the Batman Returns release. And basically what that does is in Batman Returns, the Penguin's hench people, the circus folk, the Red Triangle Gang, I think they're called. They hack into the Batmobile and they do a bunch of stuff so the Penguin can control it. Well, all of those control surfaces are represented in the kit. I'm not going to use those. I'm just going to build it up straight. So, okay. So, I was like 7 or 8 when Batman 89 came out. And so for me, you know, there was the classic Adam West Batmobile, and then there was this one. And I was a kid, you know, and I desperately wanted a toy or a model of this Batmobile, and AMT obliged. Unfortunately, my dad, a model builder who got me into scale modeling, refused to buy me this for some reason. He bought me a whole bunch of other ones, you know, of nothing from Batman, but he just refused to buy this for me. And so when it was re-released in the early 2000s, well, it was a few years later, 6, 7 years after that, I bought one and built it up, but I didn't know what actual color the Batmobile was. And I didn't do the greatest job on it, and it just kind of, you know, and I wound up losing it in a breakup, and so I found this one for 40% off. It was under $20, like $19 and change, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to get this. And then I went to Walmart. I know, they suck. But I went to Walmart, and they had like 5 or 6 of these. But with tax and stuff, they would have been over $20. So I did get a good deal on this. But yeah, so the plan is to really do the best job that I can and improve upon what I did last time. And so this is the version that comes with the Resin Batman figure, and it sucks, and I'm not going to use it. It's kind of a gimmick to sell models, I guess. It doesn't look anything like Michael Keaton, but you know, whatever. Yeah, I don't need that. Now, if it was a seated figure, and I could have Batman actually in the car, that'd be great. You know, I'd use it in a heartbeat, but no. So one thing I didn't know was that this model only came with one metal axle for the back. Well, oh, there it is. The chassis, if you look at it, it's what's called a curbside kit, which means that the wheels don't move, you know, which is fine with me. I actually prefer curbside kits. That's just my thing. But they actually have a kind of a thing that slots in here that has a plastic axle, you know, and it's like, well, there's a hole here. I can just put a metal axle through it, you know, and do fill this in so that the wheel sits flush, and yeah, so I'm just going to do it that way. Hopefully I have some metal axle stuff, some steel axles that that will fit, that will slot into the, I haven't opened this part, but wheels are here. Hopefully I have some steel axles that will slot in there. I did take a quick gander at the instructions, and they're very stylized, and I'm not a fan of that because it's kind of distracting, you know, and I want to have a clear image of the model, although it's fairly easy to put together, you know, there's not a whole lot of steps. For me, that's just, you know, pointless, but for some young person they might appreciate that. So okay, yeah, so I do have a die-cast version, and this is in 1/24 scale. Let me see. Yeah, it's about you know, just that 1% downscaled or downsized. Problem is that there are a lot of subtleties in the design that are missing from this replica. Some of the shapes, you know, because it's die-cast, it's hard to capture a lot of the subtlety that you can in plastic. So that was one reason for me to get the actual model kit. That, and this is really heavy, and I don't like handling heavy models. That and this angle on the nose is completely off. And that's part of the thing that I like about it, is that kind of rake there on the front. Not on here. And the headlights are just orange. They're not clear orange. And it's black. Okay. Well, actual model kit does have the correct angle, and it has clear headlight lenses. I was hoping it would have chrome backing, but I can always paint that. So yeah, and like the back here, this is where some of the subtlety is lost on a die-cast model. You know. So yeah. So yeah. And the color. So in the movies, there's a great documentary on YouTube, and it's Batmobile, Batmobile documentary or something like that. If you use those search terms, you should find it. But they were talking about designing and building this, and it was built onto the chassis of a Chevy Caprice. But what's interesting is the paint job. Now when you look at it in the documentary under sunlight, it has kind of a dark gray appearance. And in the movies it looks, in some shots you can kind of see that, but in a lot of shots it looks kind of black, especially in Batman Returns. But they actually used a color changing paint from Japan, which at the time was brand new, back in '88 when the movie was being produced. And it has almost kind of a black / purple kind of metal flake kind of look in under certain lighting conditions. And although I couldn't replicate the color changing properties of the paint, overall it looks like a dark gray. And I just happened to find, well, I happen to know that Tamiya spray paints has a similar color, again without the color changing properties. So I was going to use that and do a semi-gloss coat over it, because it has kind of a semi-gloss appearance in real life. So unlike most people, I'm not going to do my Batmobile in black. I'm going to do it in gray, because I love the way it looks in gray. It looks cool. You expect a Batmobile to be black, but I want one that's gray. Okay, so yeah, here's all the chrome parts. Most of these are going to get dechromed. Some of this stuff, like the intake to the jet turbine, that's actually body color, so definitely going to dechrome that. The intakes for the sides are body color. The wheels are body color as far as I can tell. At the very least, I'm going to do mine in body color. And yeah, most of this stuff is just not chrome on the actual vehicle, so a lot of it is body color. So that's my plan with that. Yeah, so I'm not going to use the extending jet turbine thing and that stuff from Returns. There was something in Batman Returns at the beginning where these two fins kind of come out from the side of the car, and they're just there to knock the guys with the long legs. I don't know what they're called, but the circus folk with the the members of the gang with the really long legs, just knocks them down, and that's seemingly the only function that they serve. I would have liked to have had that, and I probably could replicate it with sheet styrene and sanding and layering and things like that, but I wouldn't know really how to attach it, so that I could take them off. So I'm not going to do that. But yeah, so let's hammer away on this. Step one is to the body has a couple of seams up here, and so step one is to take some very fine grit sandpaper and kind of knock some of that down. The fins are also molded in two pieces. I'm guessing it was a molding issue. They couldn't get that angle, and all the detail in there, so they had to mold it as a separate piece. Again, you have to consider when this came out. It was developed in 1988, so for the time, I think these molds are fairly sophisticated because they still look pretty good today. But there's going to be a seam here, and I'm trying to decide if I want to fill it or if I just want to leave the seam. So we will see. We'll find out. Yeah, so let's get to sanding. I'll save you the boredom of having to watch me sit there and sand. Some people might find it interesting, but yeah, I'm banking on the fact that most won't. Okay, so we're back. I have done a lot of work on this Batmobile. This is my favorite Batmobile. I don't know if I've already said that or not, but yeah. Building this, painting it primarily, has been a disaster. So after I painted it gray, I found out that, oh, guess what? It wasn't actually gray. It was actually, it was repainted gray, kind of a dark gray, for a series of OnStar commercials that this Batmobile was featured in. Remember OnStar? Yeah. So, turns out that in the movies it was basically black. In the first movie, they actually used a type of Japanese color-changing paint. And there's a scene where the Batmobile and Batman and Vicky Vale get stopped by a big, heavy machine, and they abandon the Batmobile basically, and as Vicky Vale is getting out, she takes her shoes and she throws them on the ground. And it's like, why is she throwing her shoes away? Won't she need those, you know? But the reason that the justification for that was if she had walked on the Batmobile with her shoes, it would have chipped and messed up the paint. So, yeah, a woman running around barefoot in a dingy ass city like Gotham. Yeah. Whatever. It's fantasy. So, you know, and then in the second movie, it was actually just a kind of a glossy black. So, I was all over the place with the paint job on this. I painted over the gray with black. Didn't turn out so well. And then I did a gloss over it. Didn't turn out so well. Tried to do something different with it, using a gunmetal. Didn't work out so well. Tried something over that. Didn't work out so well. So, yeah, I went and got some purple powder, and I soaked it. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to take it down to the bare plastic and start over. Which is really kind of an aggravating place to be in, you know, because it's like you put all this money in paint into it, and it's basically just, you know, you're basically pouring money down the toilet. And yeah, well, it soaked for 2 days. It took off the top layer, it took off the gunmetal, but it refused to take off the gloss coat and the black. Never mind going down to the gray. So I thought, you know what, this thing's soaked for long enough. I don't want to have to screw with it anymore. I took it out, you know, and I washed it off and let it dry off, so I could assess whether or not I could live with the with what is basically a kind of semi-gloss paint job on this. And I decided, yeah, you know what, I can live with it. It's okay. It looks enough like the one from the second movie, you know. I could have probably repainted another gray over it, you know, just to kind of, because I did like how it looked in gray, but it wasn't right. And there's that part of my brain that says, no, it has to look like how it did in the movies, you know. So yeah, I did paint the headlights. I had forgotten how goofy the headlight inserts for this are, although I guess they're accurate to the actual vehicle. But there's an insert, and then you glue the clear lens over the insert, and then you insert that into the body. Problem is that you have to paint the lens of the headlight. Well, any glue you put on there is going to damage and distort the paint, and so it's not a very good design, how they design the kit parts. But the effect is there, I think. I don't know if you can see it. I can't see what you're seeing. Basically, I achieved this by painting white, and then putting painting the actual headlight lens clear orange, Tamiya clear orange, and then gluing that to the white backing, and that kind of brightens it up a little bit and makes it look like it's lit. So now I did kind of the same thing with the taillights, except the taillights are molded in red, and so all I did was paint the back of those white. You'll notice I don't have the the nozzle on there yet. You know, it's pretty much done, so I figured I'd just show it off now. But I did airbrush the nozzle. You can't really see it, it's more of an in-person kind of effect, but basically I painted the nozzle gloss black, and then I airbrushed kind of around the edge here, the outer edge. I airbrushed gunmetal, and then I did a flat coat over it to kind of give the idea that that it's, you know, been exposed to high heat temperatures, you know. And so if there was paint on there, you know, and the metal and stuff is starting to kind of show that kind of age. And the last one of these I built, I actually weathered it, because this Batmobile just screams, you know, for weathering. So, but I'm not going to do that with this one. Frankly, I'm kind of tired of working on models. To be honest with you, I've built so many so quickly, and it's just like, it's kind of gotten to the point where it's like a job. So, you know, I'm kind of like, because every time I buy a model, I want to build it, you know, because I have all that energy. But when you have all these different ones that you're building one after the other, it's like, okay, this is a nightmare and I'm killing myself. But yeah, I haven't put the machinery here yet. I painted this area gunmetal because it was on the actual car. I did a smoke. I airbrushed a little bit of smoke on the canopy windows, and that didn't turn out well. It has kind of a ripply effect, and so kind of blew it on that one. I didn't super detail the interior, but I did look at screen grabs from the movie and detail it as it was detailed in the movie, and through this screwed up canopy, you can't see it. So yeah, at this point I'm glad it cost me under 20 bucks. You know, that's kind of where I'm at right now. So yeah, but you know, for what it is, and for what happened to it, and for the pain in the ass, I still haven't glued the chassis onto the body yet. So there's a gap there in the back. That's why you see that. But for what it is and for what it cost me, I'm if I don't go and break it first, it's good enough. I've kind of reached that point in the build, you know. And I don't see it often, but there are some times where some modelers will show their failures. And I considered just not even doing a video on this. You know, I did the first half, and I was like, you know what? I screwed this thing up so badly that I don't want to even like do a video on it. But I like the idea of showing my screw ups. You know, that I've been doing this for over 30 years, and I'm still screwing up. So if you screw up, you know, don't feel bad, because somebody like me, you know, who had a sustainable side business of just building models at one point, even for somebody like me, you know, you can screw this stuff up. So it is what it is. Yeah, I basically, what differentiates the Batman Returns version from the Batman 1989 version is that it's just gloss black. They ditched the color changing paint after that first movie, probably because it was such a pain in the ass to deal with. And they were basically shooting around it, and they had to do touch-ups to it all the time, and yeah. So I just, oh, okay, just make it black. Now, one thing that okay, for Batman Returns, for the release of the film Batman Returns, they made a couple of modifications to this model. One of them is an engine that, I don't know if they show it here, Yeah, you can see right here, the engine kind of can come out. It can come out of the front like it did in the movie, like that. I did build it, although the turbine isn't on the front. But you can do that, and then it has these little computer banks that are here that you see in the movie. Well, because they built this, the first release of this has a metal axle in the front, so the wheels roll really well. Well, because they put this engine gimmick in there, they had to do away with the metal axle, and so they just had little cheese ball plastic ones. Of course, me being me, because I wasn't going to do the engine thing anyway, I put metal axles in the front. I don't know if you can see them there. Yeah, you can see a little bit of the glint. But I got lucky for once, and I had metal axle material, which was, or metal axles which were basically the right size. I had to do a little bit of drilling into the back of the wheels to accommodate them, but yeah, and I used super glue to glue them in. Unfortunately, when I got it all glued together with super glue, like some incredible super glue, yeah, turns out the wheels, yeah, they wouldn't roll so well after that. And it wasn't the super glue. It was just how far I kind of pushed down the wheels onto the axles, and so they were rubbing up against the inside of the wheel well, and so I had to do some surgery. And I mean, super glue, you know, it's super glue, so it has a really quick working time. It dries really quickly. So I had to do a little bit of surgery, and but I managed to get it to roll freely and roll really nice. So yeah. Now they put the engine gimmick and the computer gimmick in there, which is fine, whatever. But this car had other gimmicks in the second movie that I wished had been included in the model, which was like it was like a telescoping thing, like a foot that would jack the car up and allow it to spin around, and then it could go back down on its wheels. And listening to the commentary of Batman Returns, Tim Burton's thing was he wanted to kind of do, he wanted to change everything, but not change it to the point where it was unrecognizable, but he wanted to tweak things, and he wanted to do different things for the sequel. That's really what he focused on, and so he wanted a way for the Batmobile to be able to spin around, turn around, without having to back up, because there are no windows in the back of this thing, and so Batman is probably having to rely upon what in 1992 probably seemed like an incredibly futuristic thing, but like a backup camera. Now it's commonplace, but back then, you know, we didn't have cameras in our cars. So, what a difference a generation brings. But, yeah, I kind of wish they had that kind of telescoping, spinny thing included in the kit, but it would have been hard to do with the interior. So, I understand. I understand that. What else? Yeah, and that's why the second movie had the Bat Missile, which I also have a model of. You can actually find these things pretty cheap on eBay if you search long enough. But that was the Bat Missile was Tim Burton trying to, you know, figure out something new and different to do with the Batmobile. He wanted to see it transform, and so that's what they did. Unfortunately, he had to, you know, get rid of 3/4 of his car to do it. Anyway, yeah, so that's this Batmobile. I will do some. Screw it. I will take some pictures of it and put it at the end of the video. So, yeah, but this was kind of one of my failures in many respects. So, yeah, there you go. I was able to kind of pull it out in the end, but, you know, kind of got stuck there for a while. Anyway, yeah, that's it. I don't know if I talked about this, but I actually did do a lot of sanding around here. There was a seam line that ran up right here, and it ran all along the top there. For as many years as I had my previous model of this, that always just bugged me. And so I thought, if I'm going to go through the trouble of painting this thing, I'm going to remove that. And I removed it, and it looks really nice. So I wish the paint job had worked out. What else did I sand? I thought I sanded something else, but now I can't remember what it was. Yeah. I guess that's the most important thing. But yeah, so, oh yeah, I tried to fill the seams back here on the fins. Yeah, it didn't work out. So, there's still a little bit of a seam back there, but whatever. That's kind of just where I'm at right now, just whatever. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Bye. So, I wanted to do an addendum. I had talked about the problem that I had with the Canopy Window, and, well, I used a little bit of purple power. I took a chance, and this is the Canopy Window now. Shockingly, the purple power completely and very cleanly stripped all of the paint off of the canopy. And as you can see, it is crystal clear. In fact, it's even more clear now than it was when I first bought the kit. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, so at least one part of this project was salvaged,